That would be helpful. So Adriana is interested in elementary. Liberal studies, Olivia's liberal studies, multiple subject, maybe special education, okay. And Laura, what are you thinking about? Liberal studies also, okay, great. So that really helps us tailor this to you. Okay, so maybe I'll have some of our staff and student staff introduce themselves really quickly, just so you can kind of get a lay of the land and who are all these faces that are here to support you in your journey. I'll start with myself. I'm Didi Perez Granados. I'm chair of the Liberal Studies Department. I also am the director for the Teacher Pathway Program, and I'm the director for the Maestros program as well. And I'm really super pleased and happy to see all of the prospective students and all of my colleagues at Hartnell and Cabrillo and CSUMB.
Hello, everybody. My name is Margaret Dominguez. I am the project manager for the Maestros project.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angela Serrano, and I'm serving as the temporary Maestros project counselor for this semester.
Hey everyone, I'm Sasha Kingsley. I'm the academic advisor and program coordinator for the Teacher Pathway Program, TPP. Welcome.
Hi everybody, my name is Jose. I'm the academic advisor for the Liberal Studies major on campus right now, and I'm interim doing the ITEP advising as well. So those students who are here on the elementary education pathway.
Since I still fall under the Liberal Studies Department, should I go next?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Brianne. I am a Human Development and Family Science major. It falls under the Liberal Studies Department. And I am also a peer mentor in the Liberal Studies Department. So I'm able to answer any questions for you guys, give you a little bit more information about the major, or help you enroll in classes when you transfer in. Welcome.
Hello everyone, welcome. And I'm also a student at CSUMB. I'm entering the credential. I transferred from Hartnell and I currently work as a peer mentor with the Liberal Studies Department. So if you have any questions from a student perspective as well, I'm here.
Do we want to have the Transfer Center represent?
Sure. So I'll go first and then the peer mentor is going to introduce themselves. My name is Jacinto Salazar. I'm the coordinator of the Transfer Student Success Center here at Cal State Monterey Bay.
Hi everyone, my name is Sam. I am a Humanities and Communication major, and I'm expected to graduate in spring 2021. And thank you for having us.
Hi guys, I'm Daisy. I'm a Human Development and Family Studies major, like Nan here too. I'm a peer mentor at the Transfer Student Success Center. I'm involved in a lot of clubs, so if you guys are interested in how to get more involved on campus, like I'm your girl. So yeah.
And I'm Marlene Diaz-Leal. I'm also a peer mentor at the Transfer Student Success Center. I go by pronouns she, her, hers, and I'm also a local transfer from Hartnell College. I hope to get my bachelor's in psychology this upcoming fall 2020. I'm excited to be here too.
All right. Jihan and Jesus, you want to introduce yourselves?
Hi everybody, I'm Jihan. I'm the director of the Teacher Pathway Program and Maestros over at Hartnell College.
That's it, Jesus.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jesus Clemente, coordinator for the Master's project at Hartnell, and also for the Teacher Pathway Program.
And Kim, you want to say hello?
Hi, I'm Kim Sakamoto. I'm outreach coordinator for the Cabrillo CSUMB Teacher Pathway Program, and I'm here to just get some really useful information and find out more about pathways.
All right, thank you. Did I miss anybody? Did we get everybody?
I think you got everybody.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Looks like we have another student that just came on, Michelle. So welcome.
Hello.
Hi. Your prospective student, Michelle?
I'm actually going to be transferring to CSUMB in the fall, so here in a couple of weeks. So I just wanted to see what you had to say.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Well, welcome. Okay, what are you majoring in, Michelle?
Business.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe we'll convert you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get started. So I'm going to give you hopefully a brief overview of the pathways to teaching at CSUMB. So to talk about the programs at both the undergraduate and the credential level that you can pursue to become a teacher in K-12 education. So to become a teacher, there are a couple of different pathways depending on the grade level and the kind of teaching that you want to do. If you want to become an elementary school teacher, so that's usually kindergarten through 8th grade, you would follow this pathway on this side, which includes the liberal studies major. And for those of you transferring from community college, that means that at the community college, you would typically major in elementary education at the community college. They do offer, most of our community college partners offer an AAT in elementary ed, and you can take that coursework and use it towards the liberal studies degree at CSUMB. From there, this is also the pathway for special education. So if you're thinking about or really want to be in special education, you would also take the liberal studies pathway as well and get your teaching credential in special ed rather than in elementary ed. If you want to teach high school, for example, you want to be a math teacher or a history teacher or even a language teacher in high school, then you would actually major in that subject matter in college. So you'd be either a math major and go on to take a single subject credential program, which we do also offer at CSUMB. So there's some other steps along the way to becoming a teacher that I'm just going to briefly talk about here. To get into a credential program, there's some things that you need to do in addition to doing your undergraduate coursework. One is the CBEST exam, and that is a basic skills test. So it's basically testing your knowledge on math, reading and writing, mostly stuff that you've done in high school. So that's something that we encourage our students to take as soon as possible as college students. Because it is a basic skills test and that knowledge is already in your heads. But sometimes it's a tricky exam to take and we want our students to just get that over with, get that done so that they don't have to worry about it. And you do need to take the CBEST and pass it to get into a credential program. The other exam that students typically are expected to take to get into a credential program is called the CSET. And that is an exam that is focused on the subject matter areas that you're going to be teaching. So in special ed and elementary ed, you teach everything, math, science, English, etc. So the exam covers all of those content areas. Fortunately enough, at CSUMB, we have what's called the Elementary Subject Matter CSET Waiver approved curriculum that we offer. And much of the curriculum that you've taken at the community college in elementary ed also will meet the CSET waiver requirements at CSUMB. So instead of taking that CSET exam, if you take and pass the ESM coursework that's in the liberal studies major, you are waived from having to take that exam. So you automatically get that covered for entry into the credential program. I'm going to talk in more detail, but we have several different kinds of pathways, credential program pathways that we offer at CSUMB for both elementary ed and special ed. So we'll get into that in a few minutes. We also offer, I just want to point out, the bilingual authorization. So if you're thinking about going into a dual immersion kind of teaching program, a bilingual education program, we offer this as part of the elementary education program. You can take one extra semester and get that bilingual authorization to be able to teach in a second language. And the language at our campus is Spanish. Okay. If you have questions, by the way, along the way, you can always type them into the chat box or raise your hand, and I'm happy to answer questions as we're going through this. Okay. So at CSUMB, we're really fortunate to have recently added to our curriculum what we call integrated pathways. And integrated pathways basically allow our students to complete both their BA in liberal studies and get their credential in one seamless pathway, and in a shorter timeline than it would normally take for you to get your BA first and then go into a credential program. So we offer 3 different kinds of integrated pathways at CSUMB. The first one sounds like is the one that most of you might be interested in, and that is in elementary ed. It allows you to get the BA in liberal studies with the multiple subjects credential. It is a 4-year pathway, which means it's 2 years at the community college, 2 years with CSUMB to get both the BA and the credential. As I said, we also offer a bilingual elementary ed opportunity for students that want to be in bilingual or dual immersion teaching settings. It is a 4.5-year pathway, including your community college time, and it gives you the BCLAD authorization. We also offer the special ed special ed integrated pathway, which allows you to get your BA in liberal studies and either a mild, moderate, or moderate severe credential. And that is also a 4-year pathway. Okay. So if you're not interested in the integrated program, which is an accelerated program, it gets you through faster, but in addition to getting you through faster, it's a more intensive program. So you're taking more coursework in a shorter amount of time. We also have a traditional credential pathway, and that's the kind of pathway that you would take when you get your BA first, and then you apply and start the credential program. At CSUMB, the traditional credential pathway is a 1-year kind of standalone program where you just get your credential in either elementary ed or special ed, or you could do the 1.5-year elementary ed with that bilingual authorization. Okay, so to get into a credential program, either the integrated or the traditional, there's these certain things that you have to do to be eligible for credential coursework. I've already mentioned the basic skills test, that's the CBEST. We really strongly recommend our students do that as soon as possible. Ideally, if you're coming in as juniors, if you haven't done it yet, we're going to be pressuring you to do it right away as a first semester junior transfer student. The subject matter coursework, I've talked about that. That's to show your competency in that area that you're going to be teaching in. As I said, liberal studies, you're fortunate that you can do that CSAT waiver. And then you do that just by taking and majoring in the liberal studies program and passing the coursework. You have to complete a bachelor's degree to get into the traditional credential program. If you're in the integrated program, you basically sort of bistep that. You're getting both your bachelor's degree and your credential at the same time. So you don't have to complete the bachelor's degree first. Then you would complete your credential coursework, do the field work, and the field work involves you being in a classroom with a credential teacher from the beginning of the school year. So most of the districts around us are starting this week. Are they starting this week, Margaret? They're starting really, really soon. So our credential students are starting their student teaching this week or next week, very, very soon. So that basically gives you the full year experience of being in a classroom, a K-8 classroom with a credential teacher. So you kind of see the whole journey of prepping a classroom for the students' arrival, the full semester working with the students at different grade levels. Then in the credential program, there's some performance assessments that you have to complete. One is in reading, it's called the RECA, and some of you may have heard of that. The other one is called EdTPA, and that is basically assessing your teaching performance. So how well you are able to execute a lesson in a classroom setting. And if you do all of those things, then you get your credential, your preliminary credential, and you're able to become a teacher. Okay, so that's the traditional, where you get your BA first. For the integrated program, as I said, that kind of combines the BA with the credential together. It's a much more intensive pathway in terms of coursework and unit load per semester, but it saves you time and money ultimately if your ultimate goal is to get a credential. So you could apply to one of the concentrations, elementary ed, special ed, or bilingual elementary ed. And then you would start our program as a transfer student. It is very intensive. The first semester you're taking 17, 18 units, but it allows you to take that coursework for the CSAT waiver, which is really important. Because you need that to start the credential coursework. And then the senior year, your last year in the program, that's when you're going to be doing your credential coursework. So it's, as you can tell, it's very condensed. So the junior year, you're completing the undergraduate coursework. The senior year, you're doing the full year of credential coursework. It also requires, by the way, a summer session of coursework, credential coursework between your junior and your senior year. So it is a much more condensed unit heavy program, but there are the benefits of getting done more quickly, finishing your BA and credential more quickly. Jose, I'm going to ask you also to jump in anytime if I misstep or misspeak, so you can correct me. He's our advisor. He knows everything. Okay, so as I said, there's lots of different requirements to start the credential coursework or to get into the credential program. If you're doing the traditional credential program, you need your BA, and this is really important. You need a GPA of 2.67 or above in the integrated program to start the credential coursework or to start the traditional credential program. Once you're in the credential program, you have to maintain a 3.0 GPA across all your courses. You need to have that CBEST to start the credential coursework and be in the program. You need to have that CSET or subject matter competency or the waiver for liberal studies, sorry. You need to have some experience working with youth in a classroom setting. So for our liberal studies students, we have service learning courses that you take where we are getting you in a classroom with a credential teacher, working with students in K-8 classrooms. And that's really important experience to have, just to give you a sense of what grade level you might want to teach, but also just to kind of get a sense of the profession of teaching and what that involves and entails. So working with a credential teacher is a really valuable experience. You also have to do the U.S. Constitution competency. Most of our students meet that requirement by either taking a political science course at a community college or by taking one of our civic service learning courses at CSUMB. So that's built into our coursework already. Sorry, I keep jumping around these slides. Some other steps that need to happen before you start your credential coursework is that you need to get CTC certificate of clearance. And that's kind of, it's basically a background check or fingerprinting check to make sure that, and all districts require this of anybody that steps into a classroom working with students. But for credential teachers, because as a student teacher, you're going to be in the classroom almost every day of the week working with the teacher and the students, you need to have kind of a clearance. It's kind of fingerprinting on steroids. It's basically a fingerprinting that's going to last you throughout your credentialing experience. So it has a few extra steps than the kind of fingerprinting that you might do to do a field placement, for example, or service learning. And so there's some extra steps involved in that. And we really recommend that our students on the integrated pathway do that soon so that you have that in place for when you start your credential student teaching. You also need to get a TB test with negative results to start your student teaching, and you need to be trained and certified in first aid and CPR for infants, adults, and children. Have I forgotten anything, Jose?
There's some questions on the chat.
No, yeah,
okay.
No, but there's questions, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So let's go to those questions first. So Libya's asking, if I got a special ed credential in the integrated program, does it allow me to also teach mainstream elementary school classes? I don't know. I don't think so.
You need the multiple subject to teach.
Yeah.
Those are two different ones. Special ed credential will only allow you in the special ed classroom. You would need a multiple subject to be able to teach in mainstream classes.
Yeah, thank you for that, Margaret. And I know some of our students that are sort of on the fence between elementary ed and special ed. There is a way that you can basically get both the elementary ed and the special ed credential. It's usually recommended that you get that multiple subjects credential first, and then you can take an extra year of coursework to get the special ed credential afterwards. And that would probably allow you to teach in both kinds of settings. Another student is asking, she's saying she's a mother, she's already feeling overwhelmed, totally get it. She works part-time. And so it sounds like this student is interested in taking a lighter load of coursework while at CSUMB. And would that be okay? Absolutely. We do want our students to really have that life school balance in mind as they're considering these different programs. Probably for this student, we would recommend the traditional pathway because it does allow greater flexibility. You can take a lighter load of coursework. You can take more time to get through the undergraduate coursework and more time to apply to the credential program. And it just gives you more time, generally speaking. It's not quite so intensive and fast-paced as our integrated programs are. So that would be our recommendation, is that you do the traditional pathway in liberal studies and then apply for the one-year traditional credential program. Okay, thank you for pointing these questions out to me. All right. So these are the different kinds of credential programs that the Education and Leadership Department offers at CSUMB. So we offer the traditional elementary ed, multiple subjects, it's often called. Secondary ed if you want to become a high school teacher. Special education, both mild, moderate, moderate, severe. Some students not sure they want to become an actual classroom teacher, so we do have the opportunity to become a school psychologist. Many of our students that are in psychology or HDFS might pursue the school psych program. So we do offer that credential and master's program in school psychology. We also offer a master's in education. Sorry, I keep bouncing around. So some students want to get their credential and their master's because that kind of bumps you up on the pay scale, which is a real bonus. So we do have, you can either get your credential first and then get your master's, but we also have a master's plus credential opportunities in both elementary ed and in special ed. So that might be something you consider. If you do that master's plus credential program, you would need to get your BA first and then enter the MA plus credential program afterwards. Right, so if you're an integrated student, you wouldn't be eligible for the master's plus credential. And then finally, as I've said, we offer the bilingual authorization at CSUMB.
Petey, there was a question about getting an AA in sociology. Can the CSIP be waived when I get into the liberal studies?
Getting a BA or an AA?
An AA.
Okay, so yeah, the challenge there is the liberal studies program has a lot of lower division requirements that we expect our students to take at the community college. So if you majored in sociology, chances are, or most likely, you would not have those lower division liberal studies equivalent courses completed. So I would recommend that you come, if you're still interested in teaching, you come to CSUMB, do the liberal studies program, but you'd have to take the CSET. Or you could, there's just a lot of lower division courses. So your best bet and your most timely bet would be to take the CSET exam in multiple subjects to get into the credential program, which you probably are well prepared for it. And there's ways that you can prepare for the CSET and study for the CSET. That has been the pathway that most of our students have had to do previously, is to take that CSET exam. So it's not impossible. It's just, it's a lot easier if you're already in the liberal studies major and already taking the coursework for the waiver. So hopefully that answered that question. If it didn't, please ask again and we'll try to clarify. Okay, so where are we? So this graphic, which is very colorful, some people are more visual learners, so this may be more helpful. This next slide just kind of gives you a sense of the timeline for getting that credential and the different pathways. So you can see in the top, this is, this is kind of the traditional pathway, what it looks like, versus the ITEP pathway in elementary ed. So you can see the traditional pathway is a little bit longer, right? And this is what you would be doing your credential year in the traditional pathway versus ITEP, right? Jose, this is your graphic. Maybe you should explain it. Isn't this yours?
I've never seen this graphic before in my life.
No, it's very pretty.
Not mine. It looks nice though.
It does.
This
I
might
think
be
this is Shauna's.
Shauna's.
Ah,
Looks like
Shauna's
work
not here. Okay, it's very pretty. Oh, I see what this is doing. Gosh, I keep bouncing back and forth. So this top row is the traditional co-teaching pathway. So that's a summer start, 2 semesters in the credential program, and then you get your preliminary credential. This second row is the intern pathway, which CSUMB does offer. In the intern pathway, you're basically a full-time teacher in the classroom while you're getting your credential. And that is actually a longer program because it's a 2-year program, and that's not represented here. Well, actually it is, because you can see you don't get your preliminary credential until the end of your 2nd year. And I didn't talk about this, but this is an option. So you could become an intern credential student. You're a full-time teacher for 2 years while you're working on your credential. So your course load is lighter in those 2 years, and that's basically to kind of make sure that you're sane, right? Because you're a full-time teacher and you're a full-time student. That's a lot to carry. So it takes longer for you to get your credential, but the benefits are you're a paid full-time teacher while you're working on your credential. So that is an option for some students who find it challenging to take a year off and not work and to get their credential. And here's the Master's Plus Credential program. It is a 1-year program for the credential, and then the 2nd year is when you're working on your master's degree. So you get your master's at the end of your 2nd year. Because it is, again, a more intensive program in terms of coursework, it does take longer to get the master's and the credential. And then here's the ITEP program, which is that accelerated, where you're getting your preliminary credential basically at the end of your senior year as an undergraduate student. So it's a much more accelerated program. And then these are both for the secondary ed and the special ed as well. Co-teaching is the traditional credential pathway, the intern pathway, the Master's Plus Credential pathway, and then the special ed options. Okay? All right. All right. So our credential programs are very unique and I think very rich in terms of the experiences that you get, not just in the classroom as a credential student, but also in the classrooms as a student teacher. So they utilize what's called the co-teaching residency model, which is what I was talking about before, where you're in the classroom with a credential teacher from the beginning of their school year, which is early August, through the end of their school year, which is usually early June. So you get that full school year experience as a student teacher. And I think that's incredibly valuable training ground, if you will, for becoming a teacher, because you're seeing the full spectrum of the school year with a credentialed teacher. In the first semester, your student teaching is usually Monday through Thursday for half a day. And then in the afternoon, you're taking your credential coursework and afternoons and evenings. So it's a very full day. In the second semester, you're basically in the classroom full time with your credential teacher. You're going to take on more responsibilities in the classroom. You'll be doing more independent teaching in the classroom. And then you're also taking credential courses in the afternoon and evening in the co-residency model. So it's more intensive in some ways, but it's very rich because you're taking those methods courses, learning how to teach, right, during the day, during the evenings in your credential classes, but you're actually in the classrooms with students, putting those lessons to practice in this co-residency model. So we really value this model and recommend that this is the best way for students to learn how to teach and become teachers. We also offer a good number of scholarships and grants for our credential students because it's not cheap to get your credential. We were just talking about this. It's about roughly $4,000 a semester, and that's just tuition alone to get your credential. So we want to make sure that our students have every opportunity to take advantage of the scholarships and grants that we offer. We do start in the summer, so that's just a heads up. You're taking 2 or 3 courses in the summer, and those are kind of prereq courses to get you ready to start your student teaching in early August. Our students do incredibly well. They pass the EdTPA, and that's the assessment to see how well you actually can do teaching at really high rates, 80 to 84%. That's pretty significant that our students are really doing well on EdTPA as a result of this rich teaching co-residency model and our curriculum that we offer. For the school psych program, 100% of our students are passing. So that's just incredible. And then our students are getting jobs at high rates. We are very close to districts that have pretty severe teacher shortages. So our students are actually getting snapped up by our districts even before they finish their credentials because of the quality students that we have and the quality training that they're getting. They're being offered jobs before they even finish. So that's a good thing, right? You know, you're going to walk out and step into a good first job experience. And oftentimes, students will get hired at the schools where they did their co-residency, their student teaching, because they have a good relationship with those schools and school sites and teaching staff there. All right, so how do you get into our liberal studies and credential programs? You use the same program that if you applied as a transfer student, it's called Cal State Apply. The credential students use the same system to apply for the credential programs. The priority enrollment period for spring. So if any of you are thinking of transferring in spring 2021, you would apply between August 1st and 30th. If you're thinking of coming to us in fall 2021, the application period is October 1st through December 4th. It's a much longer period to enroll for fall, clearly. So if you're thinking of coming into spring, I would encourage you to reach out to me, reach out to Jose, reach out to Sasha, so we can really talk to you about that coming in the spring and what that's going to look like for you, because it is a little bit different than coming into starting in the fall, and we want to make sure that you're ready to hit the ground running with a spring start. We've got an amazing, as you can see, staff in our College of Education and in the Advising Center and in the Transfer Center. We've just got an amazing group of staff, both professional staff and student staff, to support you. So there's some emails there for Maestro's program, the Liberal Studies email. You can get in touch with our department, talk to our peer mentors. Shauna Gannon, who's not with us right now, she's the credential admissions counselor. So if you have more specific questions about applying for a credential program, she is just an amazing wealth of information that she has at her fingertips. So I'd recommend that you reach out to her. The Transfer Center staff can definitely help you field questions about just kind of that transition, getting used to CSUMB, the culture and climate at CSUMB. And there's lots of resources for transfer students that are in place now and being developed. And the Transfer Center is one of those places where you can get a lot of support and resources. I think, is that all I have? That's all I have. Short and sweet.
Didi, there's a question about, does CSUMB offer daycare?
We do have a child care on our campus. I believe it's still open right now. I don't know for that for sure. They do offer reduced rates to our students, and it is a preschool. They have some toddlers. It's a toddler and preschool kind of program. They don't have a lot of spots available. I just have to be completely honest in that center. But it's not like a, I know Hartnell has a preschool on site. It's not like a teaching center. It's really a full-time childcare center on our campus. So it's a little bit different than what Hartnell and MPC and Cabrillo have, for example. Let's see. Olivia is asking, I'm planning on transferring spring of 2021. Okay, so Olivia, I would definitely recommend that you reach out to, and Adriana, reach out to myself or Jose. Maybe Jose, if you want to put your email, I can put my personal email, not my personal, my CSUMB email, so you can reach out to us as well in the chat box. Oops. So I'll do that. And then I want to hand it over to Jacinto because he has some information to share with you as well. So Jacinto, do you want me to unshare my screen?
Yeah, please, if you could.
Okay. There you go. Do you want to share your screen? Should we make you a co-host? You're already a co-host.
Yes, I'm going to go
So
ahead.
you're good to go.
Share my screen. So again, my name is Jacinto Salazar. I'm the coordinator at the Transfer Student Success Center. We just wanted, to be here today to talk to any students who are thinking about transferring and let them know that that process is complicated, right? It could seem long, it could seem frustrating. And that's just the academic part, right? There's all this other stuff about transitioning and finding your place and sense of belonging. That is a really big part of not only the transfer process, but being a successful and content transfer student. And so the Transfer Student Success Center is here to help students who are all along the pipeline, whether they're prospective, whether they're newly admitted, or current students, figure out how to get some support and help. And a large way that we do that is through our peer mentors. Our peer mentors are really awesome. They're joining us here today. They're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about who they are, introduce themselves, and then very briefly talk about some of our services. But I just wanted to let you know, csumb.edu/transfer center. All the good stuff is going to be here in addition to our contact information at the bottom of the screen if you need to refer back to it. So I'm going to go ahead and let the peer mentors let you know what's up from a peer mentor and CSUMB student perspective.
So I guess I'll go first out of the peer mentors. Hi guys, I'm Daisy. So here at the Transfer Center, we're here to help you with your process at CSUB after you matriculate. All the peer mentors here are all transfer students, so we know the struggles that occur when you transition from a 2-year to a 4-year. And for me personally, like when I first came in, I came in the spring, so not many of you guys know, but when coming into transfer in the spring is a lot different compared to in the fall. And for me, the process was really hard because I had to like get my classes. I felt like it was like very last minute, and my social life like was very stunted. Like I'm coming to a new place. I didn't know like what the heck, how to make friends or what kind of how to like reach out to other services and clubs that we have on campus. But thankfully, now that we have the center, like we can help you with that too. So one of the biggest services that we offer at the Transfer Center is our peer mentor program. So you can become a mentee and be assigned to one of us peer mentors to help you throughout the semester. And each meeting of your mentor is individualized to your needs. So for example, if your goal is to be more active on campus, then we'll help connect you with clubs and connect you with programs that we have. We can also help you like, if you have personal things you want to talk about and just like vent out and say like, I don't know what to do because, I know some of you guys are parents and, I'm a parent and it's really hard, so I need help balancing my life, then, we're here to help you with that too. So just know that you have the center here to help you when you're struggling. So I'll pass it on to Sam, who'll talk about the virtual front desk.
Thank you, Daisy. Yeah, so here, because due to the pandemic, we're still trying to stay connected with students. So one of the ways that we do that is through the virtual front desk. You can find that link on our website, as Jacinto is sharing. And that the days are Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That is currently going to change in the semester, but it's still going to be offered, and it's just a way where you can connect with us peer mentors to answer any questions that you may have, or just to hang out with us. As Daisy mentioned, sometimes transitioning to a 4-year, it's hard to find a support system, so that's a way that we can be a support system for you. And yeah, I would also like to mention that if these times don't work for you, you can email us, and again, you can find the contact information at the bottom of our page, and we'll schedule an appointment with you. And now we'll pass it on to Arlene.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, it's super important to, I'm actually going to post it right here in the chat, our website. Okay, and that's where you'll find what Daisy was talking about, our peer mentor program, and what Sam was talking about, our virtual front desk. And if all of that, if you have more questions, or if you want to, or if all of that was a lot of information for you, it's all up on our social media. You'll find our social media at the bottom of our webpage. We have an Instagram and a Facebook. We will be sharing events and reminders and fun stuff on there to keep you connected with us and reminding you on just how our peer mentor program works and our virtual front desk. So thank you, Daisy and Sam.
Yeah, so I think the biggest takeaway is that whenever you have questions, you might not know who to ask. Today, you've been connected with a bunch of cool people who are really helpful in the major that you're interested in. But sometimes you might have questions beyond that. And we want you to direct those questions to us. Even if we can't answer those questions, we can definitely point you in the right direction. For lack of a better word, the Transfer Student Success Center is your home base. Just know that you can always come to us. Whatever the issue or the challenge or the confusion is, we'll help straighten you out and make sure that you're good to go, because what we want to do is help that transition to be as smooth as possible. And so even though we're not in person and we don't have our cool lounge area with our refrigerator and our day use lockers and all that kind of cool stuff, the peer mentors are really working hard to make this online modality really work for people to make connections in a lot of different ways.
I think that was at the end of your presentation.
That's the end. I'm done.
Okay. Well, thank you, Transfer Center staff and peer mentors, and thank you, everybody. There is no more questions. I think that concludes the info session. We will be setting this up in a YouTube. Hold on, there's one more question. Are there scholarships or grants available for students going for liberal studies? Jose or Sasha, do you have any information regarding that?
About grants and scholarships?
Yes.
That's funny. I'm just looking at the grant and scholarship spreadsheet. Yes, we do have grants and scholarships. We have a point person that you can contact. I'll write her email in the chat. She's our TPP financial aid advisor.
Perfect. And you can also email the Liberal Studies email. Brianne, can you put in the Liberal Studies email on the chat as well? You can send general questions on that as well.
I'll put it right now.
Thank you. All right, thank you everybody for coming. And again, just email us with any questions or for non-debt financial aid regarding grants and scholarships or transfer center, and we'll try to make this transition as smooth as possible. Thank you. Have a great evening.